This is the Elite House 777. This is Dr. Eros Trismegistus. This is something that you need to probably most likely grasp. I think a lot of people pretend to be smart or pretend to have the seat or care about a certain race or group. But one of the problems that needs to be faced is about this crack error or Bacchus moment. Drugs. It's just drugs. They claim it's, this is on YouTube. The truth about the crack error. They claim that this is very interesting because it's related towards Divine, Olympian. Now, mankind gets the credit with this, or United States government, Secret Service, CEA, gets said that they started this error, released crack into the hood communities. This is not true. This is an inaccuracy. For it was actually Zeus and his brother Odin who decided to flood out and take out the giants, the gigantes, who were in the underplanets, Los Angeles and New York, and the Hyperboreai, or brown-skinned mortals, and Tribecanes, which is victims of circumstance. Zeus was behind this, and unless one would think that the United States that the governmental is thinking that they're Zeus and the Olympians, which I don't think is a fair assessment. But the truth behind the crack error, it was Olympian issued.
Large numbers of poor people, and specifically blacks, going to jail and to prison, and they will not have a chance.
This is
in the early 1980s,
inaccurate.
The nation's slogan was clear: just say no.
Crack now has spread to almost every American city.
But what if I told you that there was more to the crack era than what the white mainstream news media let on? And that it went beyond black and Latinx folks who simply needed to kick a drug habit. Today's baggage, how the war on drugs ravaged black America. So far away and familiar
This is
place.
not true, by the way.
The United States became known as the crack era. During the early 1980s, a new drug somehow infiltrated low-income black and brown communities, causing crime and chaos. It was called
crack cocaine.
The problem is crack cocaine. Crack cocaine may deny these black children a decent future.
Well, it turns out that your uncle, who always talks about the man, was right. Well, sort of.
Pay attention to her hair. That hairstyle is a back eye. Instead of saying drugs, they say crack, because that's actually saying the wicked digits, the 6, and because the C is right next to that after QR, which equals the 3 by the digits. You divide it, it equals a 6, and it's saying it the wicked digit. Because they could have said a drug error or cocaine. Now, keep in mind that cocaine has been plaguing those cities since the 50s. But they focus to say the crack era or the drug era that happened in the 80s, 2080s, ADs. But pay attention to her hairstyle. For that hairstyle is a drug hairstyle. They claim this is natural hairstyles, but natural hairs are not naturally wicked locks or dreadlocks. That's not natural. But that hairstyle that this woman had was quite familiar to the ones who killed Osiris, the Baptists, John the Baptist, those wild women called the maniacs who believed in Dionysus, Metatron, Bacchus, Set, Enoch. And they were called maniacs. And they shredded Bacchus to enemy Osiris, Orpheus, to pieces. Their maniacs are female followers of, he's no god, he's more like a demon, of Bacchus, the one of drugs. Anyone who bears this wild hairstyle is a Bacchae. True steroids. frenzy, ecstatic dances, and believed to be possessed by Dionysus, Metatron, Bacchus, Set, Enoch, the Antichristos. Wild women of Bacchus, see the hair, the mane? Drugged out maidens with wild hair. This hairstyle where they'll get intoxicated on drinking drugs and opium and cocaine, drugs, intoxicating drugs, and their souls will leave their bodies and they'll get possessed by Dionysus, Bacchus, Metatron, his demons. And this is way before the 70s, 80s, the 90s. Bacchus, the enemy of Olympians, divines, gods, also men. Even they survive in the house of Apollo with his operators are hidden. They didn't outright corrupt people in this land or others. They did it by force and madness. They're pushing their drugs with eat this. This is their body. Drink this. This is their blood. You heard this prior. You heard the house of Apollo say this on Sunday, the third Sundays. This is a Bacchus ritual, and those are maniacs. Those are true stegoids. That's the reason a crucifix will not slay a vampire, by the way. But this is not governmental. This is not the enemy of this. So it's called a red herring. Even Coronis for the coronavirus. Mother of Asclepius Nabu, ally of Bacchus and Apollo. This is not mere governmental or United States either. This drugs, this crack, this drugs, the green drugs, these operations are done, had since long ago, way before some mere two-leg mortal, brown skin, snow-you skin, otherwise. This is something of Olympians, hidden in the house of Apollo. Even the corona's sickness is not some man-made sickness. These people are walking amongst us. And people are either too scared to admit it or they're just too ignorant and dumb and too caught up in the illusion of pride of their race or their land is so superior. They're worshiping and still following these Olympians. Let's get back to the subject at hand. For as you can see, the drug error. Their hair, minor, was let loose, and their appearance was described as generally unkempt, uncombed, unflaxen, unstraightened, or braided mane. The women of Bacchus, Dionysus, Bacchus, Set to the Egyptians, Enoch, Metatron, whose digits is a 6, 6, and then another one. Wickedness, not combing their manes. This is not some hidden behind some political a deception of, oh, that's my race, and they're not trying to be like a pink-skinned mortal European or Britannia descendant, but they're representing their people. This is not true. This is actually representing Stigoi, vampires, Bacchae, wickedness. Now, let's get back to the other part of this scenario.
And agents of the state were corrupt and had a hand in creating this dark time in America's history. Misinformation about crack cocaine and its users flooded airwaves and proved to be just as dangerous as the substance itself. Decades after the crack era has come and gone, its impact lives on.
Through the green drug.
Before we fall any deeper into this rabbit hole, let's take it back to the beginning of this war on drugs, which is often dubbed America's longest war in history. Please search war! The federal government first banned the recreational use of a substance, opium, in the early 1900s. Then came the Prohibition era, which focused on alcohol.
And marijuana.
Shortly after, the feds began to track and vilify people who struggled with addiction, especially if they were black.
This is not true.
Fast forward to 1971, when Richard Nixon declared war.
America's public enemy number one is drug abuse.
2 presidents later, Ronald Reagan not only carried on, but weaponized this anti-drug stance.
Drugs are menacing our society.
Though Reagan was the first president who promised to
Make America great again.
but rather he made things worse for low-income communities. In fact, at the time, the poverty rate grew faster in the presidency than in any other time since the 1950s. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, the United States was funding an illegal war in Nicaragua, and drug smugglers were sending cocaine to the U.S. on U.S. planes.
Did you catch the way she says the racial slur instead of Nicaragua? She chose to implement that racial slur. And those rulers of that nation were, at ruler Reagan at that moment, as you can see, they were battling against drugs. So what point would some reason after the music industry and certain actors become millionaires when these doors got open and more racial tolerance got open? Did they suddenly legalize drugs? When they were fighting against drugs all this while, didn't they give in to them by legalizing drugs and claiming opium and marijuana was not a drug? It's almost as if they had no choice against Bacchus. And this is historical because it happened thousands of solstices ago when Bacchus overtook he attacked India and all the lands of men, but not Egypt, with his opium, his drinking drugs, the green drugs, smoking drugs, marijuana. You can go Google and look all this up yourself. But interesting enough about the Wheat House. And this is this hidden kind of racism. It's called a red herring because it's meant to lead away from the true problem and the true culprit. That way, whatever's causing the problem could continue doing it without getting stopped. Most people were selling crack cocaine and those drugs and the green drugs have been inner city people themselves without getting past background checks and whatnot. I mean, you guys, anybody who's in an inner city, they'll tell you that the music videos and them, they're glorifying that kind of living style, and they're the ones who are terrorizing their own people. But it's going to focus on these people in the suits who was against drugs. Now this is laughed at. This is laughed at by patriots and many people who have given to Bacchus. But that's not being covered, even though the wild mane of Bacchae, anybody who wears this hairstyle, anybody who's promoting any kind of drugs is a Bacchae, a Stigroi, a vampire, an agent of evil and wickedness.
State were corrupt and had a hand in creating this dark time in America's history. Misinformation about crack
They were trying to
cocaine
stop it.
and its users flooded airwaves and proved to be just as dangerous as the substance itself. Decades after the crack era has come and gone, drugs, which is often dubbed America's longest war in history.
Please search for
The federal government first banned the recreational use of a substance, opium, in
And
the early
marijuana,
1900s.
but they're not mentioning
Then
that
came the
in
Prohibition
1937.
era, which focused on alcohol.
And marijuana in
Shortly after,
1937.
the feds began to track and vilify people who struggled with addiction, especially if they were black. Fast forward to 1971, when Richard Nixon declared war.
America's public enemy number one is drug abuse.
2 presidents later, Ronald Reagan not only carried on, but weaponized this anti-drug stance.
Drugs are menacing our society.
Though Reagan was the first president.
Zeus, you must bring an end to this. They attack our temples. Now
This was
dare to desecrate Zeus.
it's supposed to be the Wheat House.
Reach out to them. An accommodation could be made.
These movie people believe this lie. This is Clash of the Titans. And here, the Wheat House is supposed to be Mount Olympus. And Zeus is supposed to be the ruler in the Congress. If this is not sedition, I don't know what is. But these movies are the new history, by the way. And they're filled with inaccuracies described as giving women stronger roles and minorities different colors. But mind you, all their hair was wild. and they're acting like that Zeus is the Olympians. This is Clash of the Titans. It's not a movie about Olympians. It's none of these Percy Jacksons and the Lightning Thieves. None of these movies are about the comic books. Avengers is about something other than that. Maybe terrorism. Maybe fighting peacekeeping operations. Their mortals are trying to pretend to be gods, or in this case, Olympians, Divina. It's called Divine Rite. This is supposed to be Mount Olympus in the movies, not Mount Olympus where Zeus dwelt. And Zeus is supposed to be the ruler and his staff, joint chief of staff. But let's get back to this important part.
And they reward my love with defiance? There will be no truce. Finally. It's been how long, brother, since you've seen my face?
That's Odin. So the Wee House is this is supposed to be the Wee House. Behold, look at the bald eagle.
Created them for one reason, so they're pretty. But you love them too well. They've grown strong.
Look at the bald eagle.
Now I am forced to
This is supposed to be the
rise
Wheat House.
because we are all threatened. What do you want, brother? Let me loose upon them. They will pray again, and you will bathe in their awe and fear, and we will grow strong again. But you depend on their love. I've only learned to live on their fear.
You see the bald eagle?
Their insolence has a price. Like children, they need to be reminded of the order of things.
Like children, they need to be taught the order of things, reminded of the order of things. Do you ever hear any people saying, spin with your boy, hey girl, oh, baby? Like children, they need to be taught the order of things. Yo, what's up, boy? My homeboy, homegirl, hey girl. Not ladies, not adults. And these sayings are for people way past the age of youth. Baby boy, baby boy. Like children, they need to be taught the order of stuff.
Turn them on each other. And back.
Crack, huh?
Release the Kraken.
This movie is supposed to be about the drugs infecting the city. But this is not governmental. This is not Olympians. This is men. And the Kraken is supposed to be a monster that plagued the communities and inner cities and the states. Get your facts right. You're fighting a battle against powers and principalities. On the side of powers, but the principalities, Olympians, House of Apollo, disguise, Bacchus disguise has third Sunday offerings, December 20th celebrations and 25th celebrations. This is demology as Venus. But not all Olympians are evil. Hermes, Michael, Aphrodite, Ares, Seshak, Gabriel, Chesed. You're being misled. And while you want to blame Dr. Fauci, have a little bit more honor towards Kronos. Dr. Fauci is no mere mortal. This is another falsity. You see, Fauci, yes, it does mean sickle, but it doesn't mean the Grim Reaper, because that's Thanatos. And Thanatos didn't carry a sickle, a scythe. He carried a sword, a long sword, not a sickle. Fauci is not the Grim Reaper. Fauci is Kronos, Kingu, Saturnalia. Have a little bit more honor towards these people. Kronos is a sickle. The one who devoured his own children, who took over the planet for some 4,000 solstices before Zeus and his brothers rebelled against him. He should be more... you should have a little bit more consideration towards the elvish race of the Hodians, Anunnaki, that kind of stuff, because Kingu was his name before he became Kronos. The sickle bearer, the scythe, is Kronos, who Saturnalia was placed on an island of Italy, a bloodline descendant of a legendary being who is not from the house of Apollo or the one of Nazareth. Have a little bit more credit about those divines walking amongst you. Not Thanatos, not the Grim Reaper. Kingu, Kronos, Saturn, Samael towards the Kabbalah. Adramalik. Get it right with accuracy. Watch these red herrings. Some people slip a name in to a subject that has nothing to do with who it is. It's almost like calling Hermes Anubis or Asclepius when Hermes is not Anubis, Hermes is Thoth. Thoth. The ancient aliens will talk about Hermes, will show a picture of Asclepius, Anubis, to mislead you. But the scythe, Fause means the scythe maker, scythe bearer, which is Kronos, Kingu, Saturnalia, Adramalik, to the Kabbalah. Be truthful and be accurate. Coronis, who the coronavirus is named after. He's not. Apollo killed her after they moved on and burnt her up, and she's the mother of Asclepius, Anubis, Ganesha, Nabu. Kali. Durga is the Devi, or Kali. Daughter of Lucifuja Letokotili, sister to Apollo, the ruler of hell. Have a little bit more honor. These people are honoring the divines, and not all these are mere mortals. This is a nation under God. There's a battle going on, and there's sides drawn. Have honor towards these people. For Durga, if you want to have honor towards them people, I have honor for who they truly are. Durga is Devi, or Kali. Kali is Devi. Devi is no mere mortal. She belongs to the land of the Satardio, a blazing land. She rules the Thuggies. Shiva's bride. Shiva is Apollo, Loki, Shiva, Ra, Tezca, Kapoka. Her name is Kali. The pearl necklaces. This is Kali, the Devi. Not someone you want to trifle with. Pearly necklaces. Tongue hanging out. The ruler of the Thuggies, annihilator of men, the ruler of hell, a princess who will triumph over all melas, offerings of blood, but she wears the colors of Vishnu. She annihilates. She was a bride of Shiva, the destroyer, but she was meant to be with Vishnu, but she was drugged with blood. These are people who are supposed to be honored as they are, but people are taught to be dishonorable towards gods, divines, demons, and devs. This is who people try and get people to follow in this hip hop, certain TV shows. But this is not governmentals doing this. This is next door neighbors, people playing certain music and releasing albums out on certain video stations and stuff without telling people directly who they're praying to. The cult of the Thuggies. But you've seen this before many moments, haven't you? But you didn't know, interest in wearing Indian hair from India, extensions and weaves. Thinking it's cool to be a thuggy. Said they disbanded in the 1870s. Then they popped up in 2047 AD. It should have ended there. A cult consisting of deeds of mutilation, ritualized murder, and robbery. You ever heard hood people or thuggies saying they're killing it, beating it up, they're ill? Pay attention to the language of the decepTion. You've been deceived, but not by who you think. The thugs worship Kali. Not pearls, but skulls. His weapon is the tongue, or an open mouth that would seem like a smile. The thugs' enemies are not blackened people's enemies, not hyperboreized enemies. That's gangs against gangs since long ago. But you watch a movie with certain actors who you like and musicians who you like, you guys get led astray thinking stuff that's not true. There are political situations, but if you invoke gods and divines and devs and demons, they may hear you. Some of you are laboring for an army and fighting as soldiers in battles that you probably would not be battling if you ever clear out straight up telling you what's going on. So all these movements of supremacists and dislike, they most likely are being pulled by a very powerful demon, dev, or a god or a divine. So speak with this stuff with a little bit more honor. Have a little bit more, as long as the greatest trick is not telling people that the devil didn't exist. The greatest trick that Satan had pulled off was making people think that God doesn't exist. And while people think God is fake and not actual, or gods with an S are fake and not actual, but they clearly see thugs and these kind of robbers and thieves and hurdle. No supremacist, no patriot, no supremacist would be doing these activities of this kind of people or groups if they were aware of it. But they play off people's ignorance who don't read, which is a lot of you, and go by a movies with the latest celebrity. But some of those celebrities could be led astray. Remember, they get paid to act, so, or make a music, a song, whoever pays them, almost like a whoredom, but not. Seen as a sex laborer, a whore. You remember this? But so pretend that this is not actual, so people choose wickedness and not the gods. But if they can't unite, stand together, all champions. and a certain bandana on the head. The thuggies used to slay people with a bandana and strangle them. And this layer becomes this bandana. And this is all on Google. You can find it yourselves. Remember, the house of Apollo is Callie's brother and husband. The sign of Apollo. So they labor together. Get people scared. The wolf scares the sheep and the sheep obey the shepherd. Many of you are being deceived. Watch who you open your doors to. Not all brown-skinned people, Hyperborean or mortals, are all the same, and not all pink-skinned mortals are the same. You're judging people by their skin and not by the contents of their actions or who they are. Detail is important. And the devil, Satan, gets those who can't see the detail. Organized steps. Thuggies. The house of Apollo has deceived many to make them think that they're in a world, on a realm where gods and demons and devils do not exist. But they do exist. Whose side are you on? Maybe the champions. But do not be tricked. Do not be deceived. Callie's colors is red and ebon, by the way. So if you see this anywhere, TV shows, networks, red and ebon, you see people where they're Satario. That's the colors of the demons, or the standard of hell. But it's subtle too. There's more red herrings. Even stuff like this. You've been infiltrated. You see the tongue out? People want you to think that evil is real and tangible so you can lay with them and give birth to demons tangibly. But you're into the house of Apollo only. Even the house of Apollo is contaminated with these demons. See the tongue out? This one. That's a sign of Kali, of the thuggies. The queen of hell. Erik Chagall in old scriptures of the Sumerians. If you're going to battle, if you're going to do stuff, do it truthfully. Do it without lies. Be honest.
Your Dutch Uncle John, here to tell you what it is.
And this is
new Tanakh talk.
Just because they can speak your language. You see the R in the third place? Wicked. You see the R with the F? Wicked. That's the wicked digits. The 6, 6, and another one. The R in the third place, 3 divided by R equals, or 7. 3 divided by 18 equals 6. And it'll be 3 of them. Then the F with the R, that's 6 and 18. And you divide that, you get the wicked digits. You can do simple math, thematics. And this is John Kostiek. He's claiming he's Dutch. And he got a picture of himself in the background of the planet. This is supposed to be biblical. He learned to speak the language of the lesser ones, of the Tanani. And he has a picture of the continent of Earth, as if saying wickedness rules the earth. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe he just put this shirt on one moment. Well, we cut a hard rock when rock's already hard. That's an incongruity. Maybe he just wore this accidentally and he's just a good mortal. Maybe. What about this one? There it is again. So it's more like this is his armor, what he's selling out, what he's promoting. This is twice. So, but 3 moments now. And you need a stasis snow you, but it's gray. Contamination. You know, as a star is pointing up. But here, in the corner of his videos, it's pointed down. That's a sign of satanic stuff. It means wrong mind, since it's the number of mortals of men. It means wrong meanedness. The upside down star associated with satanic or evil mind. This is deception. This is wickedness walking amongst you for those who are seeking knowledge, which puts them in a more vulnerable spot. Three stages ago. Now I'm giving you a choice. What about this one? Number quad. So maybe it's not an accident. Maybe this one. Is it a different? No, it's still the hard rock. Still him promoting Satan. And maybe I'm just accusing this mere mortal. But let's see. And he's speaking as if he's talking about God. Or towards those who are religious, though, the one of Nazareth. Or maybe he's trying to corrupt. Maybe he's one of the agents sent.
From your Dutch Uncle John.
Oh, he's doing it again.
Dutch Uncle John lived there. Shalom, shalom.
And he got a teammate.
My good friend Pastor Chella from the Independent Church in Bangalore, India. Bangalore, India.
Hard rock. The wicked digits. And he has one too.
And we would like to show you here with my good friend Pastor Chella from the Independent Church in Bangalore, India. Bangalore, India, Pastor Chella. And we would like to show you a secret message hidden in the first verse of the Bible.
Satan doesn't have a particular supremacy of a group. He wants to corrupt all of you, women, children, racial supremacists, nationals, nations, all of it. You all been infiltrated. No matter what you do, sag your pants, raise your pants, standing up for your race, tricked by your priests. And maybe these mortals got possessed. Maybe so. Here he goes again.
Shin. Okay. Here's a picture of the letter Shin. Notice it is to make a Shin.
You see that?
With his hand.
You see that?
You can see there's a Shin there. Okay.
Now look at this. This is satanic. And people are watching this.
Two of them, which forms the sonnet here, and his arms are.
You see this? Maybe. What about this one? Do you see the upside down star? Do you see the hands? Did you see that? What about that one? So, you're seeing this, right?
Will make a Shin sign with his hand.
And that's Ayin. He's saying it's Shin, but it's Ayin.
And when he's given
This is evil. He's corrupting even the Hebrew, the Titaniums, the lesser ones' doctrine. He's making satanic stuff with a satanic shirt on. But he's not alone. This is not a race issue. This is not a race issue. You've seen this before. He knows exactly what he's doing. And people are watching this now, being deceived. It's not just her, not just him. Look at she's hand. She's about to throw up the sign of Belphegor, the satanic witchcraft sign. While she's talking, while people are looking at her voice, look at her. You see it?
God dwells in him and he in God. Whoever shall confess that Jesus God, God dwells in him and he in God. So we're all little mini gods. There's like a big God, and then like he can just drop off little mini gods.
She's pretending to be funny, but she's being satanic. In case you haven't noticed, this man's name is Maya, muses. Maya is Indian, and it means illusion. Muse is Greek, and it means instructor. So false teacher, false instructor. And this is all on YouTube. She's like Astrovic. She's casting a spell with the quick talking, and the hand movement. She doesn't believe in her own craft, but they're doing this to those who are watching, and they're not even aware that they're being involved or putting something satanic. Now, she just said in her statement that people are many gods. This is interesting that she'll say this because gods, to be a god, you can't have no evil, no wickedness. Now, in the quick talking, these spellcasting that they're doing a loud voice, using sound and vibrations of energy to distract someone of their agenda. Now, she said out of her own mouth that all people are many gods, and that she believes this, but gods, in the word God, there is no evil, no wickedness. And to become a god, you cannot have no wickedness or evil. You got to get rid of your evil side. To become a god comes with being allied with the goodness. Links G-O-O-D and G-O-D. And then she said miniature gods or small cells of gods. To turn God into a man is to say that a god is mortal. And now they could go kill a god. Who would want to do that besides the enemy of God, which would be satanic? Now, she's talking in the house of Apollo, talking about following the Christos and the one in Nazareth, but no follower of the Christos, no one who follows the one in Nazareth, no God is going to throw the sign of Belphegor or try to enslave the masses to satanic will.
Anyway, that broke up the band. And Father Divine
Look at her hand.
went on his own. Father Divine was such a character.
Father Divine, is there anything?
It's fantastic. I don't know if I'd want to live in his cult, but for storytelling, mwah. In 1913, he
See your hand?
chain gang
Satanic.
for 60 days. Fantastic. I don't know if I'd want
Behold.
to live in his cult, but for storytelling, mwah. In 1913, he is put on a chain gang.
She's doing it right in your
for
faces.
60 days because
Against your
of
wills.
the fight
Look at
that
the
he
hands.
had with the local ministry. Because of course, he had a fight with the local ministry. It's Father Divine. You'll see. While he's on that chain gang, some prison
And this is recent. Now, mind you, can they cast these spells, do this witchcraft without doing it secretly? What reason do they have to secretly do this and not tell what they're actually doing? But they're not alone. There's many out there who don't have true talent and faith, and they're poisoning your minds. And the devil, Satan, is not after your soul. You make a deal with your soul, you lose your soul, so you can't harness the leap. But that's for another topic. They're after your bodies. Satan and the demons and devils are after your bodies. They want to remove your soul so no light could shine through it. Now, what reason do these people have to do this without telling you, making you aware of what they actually are doing? Reach towards the light, embrace the truth, but do not be deceived by the wicked and the evil. If you're going to battle, if you're going to stand towards evil and wickedness, do it completely honesty. If you're going to stand without pretending to be good, without talking as if you're a god or throwing sexual in there. All stuff comes of God like that. Sexual, beauty, richness. Use the ugliness. But do not pretend. If you have to lie, then that means they're weak. Now, they believe in the strength of Satan. Well, they come out at the beginning and say that they're satanic or that they're wicked instead of deceiving people. Honor God's honor truth. 777.